I'm gonna go ahead and start because I have notes and I do not want this video to be too long. Kitty Lusana for attending the conversation if you are here. I also want to, I don't even know how to do it. Okay, it's fine. I was gonna turn the comments off because I can get distracted. And like I said, I have notes, so I really want to make sure I'm covering everything in this video. So as you can see by the title, this video is entitled How Barbie Culture Disrupts the Black Woman's Power. I feel that this is a really important topic because, you know, this is also in dishonor of the movie coming out. I think it's today, I believe it's today, of Barbie, right? And what Barbie symbolizes psychologically, how it has really infiltrated the minds of Black women and Black children, Black daughters. And it's really important that we understand what we're seeing when we see it and what we're dealing with when we're dealing with it, right? Because if we don't have that critical mind going into things, we're going to always be on the losing end of the stick as a people, right? We have to approach everything with a critical lens because this is just the state that we're in. We can't afford to just do things because, you know, it's presented to us. So let me go ahead and get started. Like I said, the video is titled How Barbie Culture Disrupts the Black Woman's Power. Let me give a quick disclaimer. I have notes here, so if you see me looking, this is why. I'm going to give a quick disclaimer. If you are the type of person that thinks that it ain't that deep, if that's something that's, you know, a regular phrase in your vocabulary, this video is probably not going to be for you. This is for the people who see value in critically thinking, understanding why they do the things that they do a little bit better, why we as a people do the things that we do a little bit better. And if you're very just like, you know, go with the flow, very non-conformist, and you just kind of like doing mainstream things, then you probably won't get the value from this video. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you to leave the room now because I don't want, it's just not, you know, it's not going to be productive. So let's go ahead and get started. So before I jump into the notes, I want to talk about how we have to look at toys as a cultural delivery system, right? When people create toys, they're trying to communicate something, right? So although I'm going to be talking about Barbies a lot in this specifically, I'm also going to be talking about kind of the toy industry in general, because when we're dealing with entities that are seeking power and domination over our minds and over our families' lives and over our people's lives, we have to think on a bigger scale. We can't just think of like how this is benefiting me or how this is affecting me or how I like Barbies as growing up or whatever. We have to think of it as, why was this created? What is this trying to communicate to young Black children and, you know, women as well, Black women as well? So my first point is, there was a study in 1988 by a doctor, psychiatrist named Kenneth Clark. And it talks about, he basically in the study, he showed a Black doll and a white doll, and he had children, young children, from, you know, white and Black children, look at these dolls and tell how they felt about these dolls, right? So they were supposed to look at the doll and say, is this doll good or bad, ugly or beautiful? And each time that Black child looked at the white doll and they saw the white doll as beautiful, smart, intelligent, and they saw that Black doll as ugly, stupid, you know, bad. Even though they identified with that Black doll, they still subconsciously knew that that doll was inferior to the white doll, right? So that's important to understand because that kind of gives us a context as to what toys are designed to do and how toys replicate the society, right? So toys are going to be a mirror of what's already happening in the society. So if the society is telling us that Black is ugly, Black is inferior, then the toys are going to communicate that as well, regardless of the color of the toy, right? So we have to get out of this idea of they're a Black Barbie, right? That's not a thing because the culture is telling us that white Barbie is the standard And these children, although they have access to this black doll that looks like them, that they identify with, they also know that the standard is white Barbie, right? Just Barbie, really, because you don't have to say white Barbie. You just say Barbie when you're talking about the white one. But when you talk about the black one, now we have to remind you, oh, the black one, right? And that's a problem, right? Because the damage has already been done. Because children are smart enough to know that there's a standard. So they're always going to revert back to that standard. So I wanted to bring this study up. And if you want to look more into it, just look it up on YouTube. It's multiple studies that have been done over a period of time. And it talks about how, the children feel inferior, although they have access to these black dolls. Having access to the doll that's black does not, negate how they feel internally. So that's really, really important to understand. So my next point is Barbie was created to build the self-esteem of white girls, okay? Not the self-esteem of black girls. So this kind of follows on what I just said. When you have a culture and you are trying to build up, this image, because you have to remember Barbie came around around the end of the 1950s, early 1960s. And this is when black people, we were still fighting for integration and all these things, but white people, they were talking about the American dream, so this was really to build the esteem of young white girls, so they could see themselves. So we can't take their cultural hand-me-downs, because that's essentially what this is, a cultural hand-me-down, and say, we're just gonna turn Barbie black, right? We can't do that, because it was designed. We have to go and look back at what Barbie was designed to communicate. And a lot of my points are me explaining to you what Barbie was designed to communicate, right? So once we understand what the designers, the innovators had in mind in the creation of this cultural delivery system, which is called a Barbie or a toy, we can better decide if this is something that our daughters should have access to, or we as women should be engaging with, or going to see these movies, or dressing up like these Barbies, right? These white women, okay? Because like I said, Barbie was created to build the esteem of a young white girl, not any melanated person. So another point that I have is Barbie, there's actually, I have a screenshot from an article that says Barbie has never gotten married or had children, and this is not an accident. Okay, so now as a young black girl, listen, I had all the Barbies. I had the life-size Barbie, I had the white Barbies, and I had the black Barbies. I had the houses, I had the Barbie food, I had it all, right? I had it all. I was Barbied out. You wasn't competing with me when it came to the Barbies, okay? So because of that, when I read this, I was like, wait, what? Barbie did. I thought Barbie was married to Ken, and I thought Ken had children. Like, what? Because that's how I was playing with my Barbies. I was playing with them as if she was married and she was a mother. But clearly here, Mattel never designed Barbie to be a mother or to be a wife. Now, what does that mean? Why is that relevant to the black woman, right? If you look at the state of black women and black people as a whole, we're single. Yet our generation, my generation, we were playing with Barbies as well. So this kind of plays into what I'm trying to get to further down in my points, is how whether we are knowledgeable or aware of the intent behind a tool, it's still going to it's going to perpetuate itself the way it's supposed to, because you're not even aware of it. You're just kind of along for the ride, right? And our parents, unfortunately, weren't aware enough either to think of anything of it. They were just like, oh, it's a toy, like, give it to her, whatever. So another part in this article, it says the doll's creator, Ruth Handler, wanted young generations to have dreams other than finding a partner and starting a family. Mind you, the woman who created Barbie was a mother and a wife herself. And this leads me to my next point, which is white women do not want to be mothers and wives, right? For them, that's burdensome. It's always been burdensome for them, because it doesn't come naturally to them, right? It doesn't come naturally for the white woman to nurture and care and pour in and sacrifice and be patient. These are not natural attributes of the white woman, period. And this is also not opinions. I don't do opinions. I do intuition, I do knowledge, I do research, and from what I know, the white woman does not have the capacity to nurture her children the way we do. So it makes sense why toys were created, right? It makes sense why the white woman would need a Barbie to instill values into her daughter instead of her instilling those values into her daughter herself, right? So this is a element of a lazy culture when we rely on toys to do the things that we as the mothers are supposed to be doing ourselves. So this is really important for me. When I read this, I was like, okay, so this, because like I said, for me, everything I do is intuition based. So while I had an intuition and I knew what's going on with Barbie, and I'm like, I know I can find what I need to find to make this argument, how we as black women should not be engaging with entities like Barbie. But when I was like, okay, well let me find the evidence, because I know people want the evidence. They can't just go off intuition. I'm like, okay, well let me give them both. And I saw this article and I was like, this is exactly what I mean. As black women, that's where our power is, in being a wife and being a mother. Because we were designed to do that. We have the bodies to do it. We have the breasts to do it, right? We have the mentality to do it. We're the global majority. So clearly we know our bodies are designed for this. This is not difficult for us. Yet the white woman, her body ain't designed. Her body ain't designed for this. Her mental ain't designed for this. Her nipples are inverted. It ain't designed for this. All right? We want to get deeper. It's not designed for this. So because of that, they're going to create cultural tools to assist in their roles as being mothers and being wives. All right. So another part in this article, it says, while Barbie has worn numerous wedding gowns, Barbie has never walked down the aisle. A deliberate choice made to try and deter young generations from falling into the patriarchal trap that tells us that the conventional path is only acceptable and available to us. So Barbie is also a feminist. Barbie came out in the feminist era when white women wanted to leave their children and go into the workforce. They were begging white men to let them leave their children at home and go work in the workforce. This is when this is when Barbie was coming out. So this was a feminist appeal to other women and to young girls to say, you don't have to be a mother. Why would you want to do that? You can go be a doctor. You can go be a physician. You can go be a nurse. You can go be a car salesman. You can compete with the white man. But we're not competing with our men. Because we're in the same boat. The black man and the black women, we in the same boat. So there's no need to compete. But the white woman and the white man, they have this thing which is called ritualized fighting. My husband and I, we talk about this a lot. We talk about how they fight each other. So because they have this anxiety of not being able to produce the way they can. And although they wish that they could just go ahead at it and fight, because they're a genetic minority and they're genetically recessive, they can't afford to not have each other. So while they fight, they still decide to procreate with each other. Because, like I said, that genetic inferiority, compels them to do so. So this is important to understand when we're talking about toys, because when you're, like I said in the beginning, this is a cultural delivery system, which means they're communicating something to you, whether you're in their culture or not. And when you take those toys and when you take these Barbies and when you take these dolls inside of that context of their nation and their culture, and where their culture is dominant, you're going to drink the juice. Right? And you're going to reap those benefits of what it was designed to do. And what Barbie is designed to do is give this idea that the black woman, or women in general, do not need their men. They don't need children. All they need is big houses, big Barbie houses, big Jeeps, beautiful clothes, long, recessive, stringy dog hair. And that's all they need, right? You don't need the man. You don't need the woman. You don't need the children. And as black women, that is where our power lies. Okay? We ain't the same. The white woman can reject her man and her children and be fine. We can't do that. Okay? So for me, this is another indication that Barbie it don't belong in our spaces as women, because it's blocking our power. I have a class called Curation, and it's called Mastering the Art of Curating Your Spaces. And it talks about how we as black women, we are curators. We're curators. We're natural curators, which means it's natural to us, meaning we can come into a space and we can say, I can take this space and I can make this a home, right? I can pour my essence as a woman into it, and I can create a space to where when my children and my man and my husband walks into this space, they know what their mission is. Their esteem raises, their knowledge raises, because they're in this presence that I've curated. I've curated a space for my family to thrive. We know how to do that. White women only know how to stage their spaces, which means they know how to, okay, I'm going to put this furniture here, and I'm going to go to IKEA, and I'm going to buy a bunch of, fake plastic, furniture, and design the house and interior design the house. But it has no essence. It has no spiritual meaning. Meaning when you walk into this space, it looks nice, and you're like, yeah, it looks nice, but you don't feel connected to the space. You don't feel like there's any essence to the space. Black women, we know how to do that. African women, we know how to do that. We know how to curate our spaces. And what Barbie culture, consumerist culture like Barbie teaches us, it teaches us how to not do that. We're relying on material things to curate our spaces or to stage our spaces instead of our essence as women, right? We're not relying on our essence as women when we have all of these material things to help us stage. You can have a curated space with not a lot of things in it. Really, all you need is that to bring your essence as a woman into that space, trust that intuition as a woman, and you start to literally expand that intuition in your home. Your home is just the house for your intuition, the house for your essence, and you pour that into your children, you pour that into your husband, right? And now it's we not worried about infidelity. We're not worried about stepping out. We're not worried about our children, not listening to us or being disobedient repetitively, because we haven't created a space for that. We're very intentional about the things that come into our home, the images that we have in our home. This is all curation. So like I said, I did a presentation about this, and I kind of broke down what this means. And in the presentation, I had a slide where I talked about Barbie culture, consumerist versus contributor. And what Barbie culture does is it creates a consumer and not a contributor. Meaning young girls, they're not in Africa, they're not playing with dolls. They're tying babies on their back at the age of 5 and 6. They're feeding their brothers and sisters at the age of 5 and 6. They have real life babies in front of them. They know how to keep them quiet. They know how to rock them to sleep. They know to take them to the mother when they need to, right? They know how to walk with them if they need to go somewhere. They know how to protect them if they need to, right? So these are all ways that you instill a contributing element into the woman so that when she does go into her home with her husband and her children, she knows how it's not hard. She's not having postpartum depression. What is that? She's not having anxiety, and she's not having mom guilt, and she's not, confused about what she can do, because I've been doing this, right? But when, my generation and me, when I was growing up, I was playing with Barbies. So the first time I had a real baby to take care of was my own, and that's a problem. Mothers should be instilling into their daughters how to be mothers from an early age, right? We should be learning these things. We should have this space to where we can assist our mothers, right? But our mothers are too busy trying to be, at least I'm going to say our mothers, my generation's mothers, was too busy trying to be in somebody's job, somebody's workforce, to be worried about teaching me how to be a wife and worried about teaching me how to be a mother. She was trying to go work for a corporation, That's where the money was. So now you take the mother out the home. So she's in corporate America. Now the daughter has dolls and Barbies, and she's playing with them, learning all of these dysfunctional ways of being a woman. And now that I'm older, now I'm in an abusive relationship. Now I can't maintain relationships. Now I don't know how to, take care of children. I don't know how to breastfeed. Now I'm complaining about how to breastfeed, and it hurts and it's painful. And I have all of these excuses as a woman because nobody prepared me to be a mother, because they was too busy giving me these cultural delivery systems, Barbies and dolls. And while they're thinking that they're instilling some value into me, they're thinking that they're giving me something that I want because I asked for it, what they're really giving me is white culture, which is neglect of children, which is neglect of motherhood and wifehood. That's the essence of white culture. They don't see value in children. This is not an opinion. I will have to state this again. My husband and I have done enough research on white culture, on white people, in even separated, the white woman and the white man, to know children are not of value in their societies. This is why children are trafficked in their societies, higher than other parts of the world, right? White women been killing their children. They had a thing in Europe called exposure, where they would take babies to the top of the hill and leave them there, y'all. Listen, if I gave you all the knowledge of how white people have historically treated their children, you wouldn't want to be in their presence for 5 seconds. Because if they do that to their children, the things that we know to their children, it ain't looking too good for us. So I'm saying all this to say that we need to be mindful of why these toys were introduced. And they were introduced in a time where, women did not want to be in the presence of their children. So another part, this is a different article. It says Barbie will never be a mom because she isn't meant to be. Barbie is doing anything, going anywhere, barrier breaking role model who lives in children's homes worldwide. She doesn't want to be a mom. She doesn't need to be a mom to be successful. That's a point from one of the articles. So yeah, they're essentially saying, like, what I need to do that for? Mind you, this is where our power lies. I have to keep saying that as black women. Our power lies in our ability to reproduce more children, to communicate our culture, to extend the family, to build nations. Families are the foundations of nations, meaning when you don't have families, you don't have nations. If you can manage your home and you can manage your family, you can manage a nation. So when we reject the idea that we need children to be healthy people, we're saying we're not ready for nation building. And when you reject something that's natural, like giving birth and having children, you create space for depression, because regardless of what you want, right? Regardless of what you think you want, because you got to remember, our wants and desires have been manipulated. So what things that we think we want and things that we think we desire, we can't even trust that, because all these things have been implanted into us. So regardless of what we think we want, naturally we have to say, but what am I supposed to do though? What is my body designed to do? And as women, our bodies are designed to give life. They even say women who breastfeed and women who have more children are less likely to have breast cancer or to be as sick. So our bodies, literally, when you reject nature, nature is going to make you pay, right? We need children for our psychological and physical health as women and as men, but especially as women. We need that. Our bodies are designed for it. So when we reject that, we set ourselves up for depression, suicide, just a plethora of things, anxiety, guilt, inability to be able to have healthy relationships with other women and men, and familial issues. Like, it's so many things that come out of the rejection of natural things that we're supposed to be doing. So my next point is, dolls are always modeled after the girl's mothers, meaning the daughter always has a desire to be like her mother. So she uses the doll to substitute that mother presence. So, and this is what I said earlier about how a lot of our mothers, because they wanted to be in the workforce and because they wanted to be, they wanted to compete with their men the way white women were competing with their men, because of that, they weren't around us the way they needed to be. So that substitute, these toys became the substitute for the parental knowledge, because I don't need a Barbie to teach me how to be a woman. I need my mother to teach me how to be a woman. I need my mother to teach me how to cook and clean and to, prepare healthy meals and to be patient with my husband and to be patient with my children. I need to see that modeled in my mother. I need to be in her presence constantly, right? And in African societies, the daughters are with the mothers learning all the time. So for them, by the time these young girls on the continent are like 16, 15, they can mother better than grown women in America at that point. I'm not playing. Like, they have the tools because their mothers are around them. They are invested in them. They don't have sometimes they don't even have the money for these toys, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's a blessing that young girls here haven't been inundated with these dolls, because the black women in America have. And the black women in America are also suffering with being able to stay in relationships, being able to get married, being able to mother with confidence and not walk around with guilt and confusion and uncertainty and questioning everything that they do as women. But we had dolls, though. We had Barbies, though. So we should, if anything, you would think we would be more equipped, right? But that's not how it was designed. Barbie was not designed to equip black women to be mothers and wives. And this is what I'm saying when I say we have to understand the intent behind the creator of these toys, behind these cultural delivery systems. I'm calling toys cultural delivery systems because that's what they are. They're there to communicate an idea, a thought, so that the society remains in the way that they want it. And it was designed to build the self-esteem of white women, which it did. But it was not designed to build the self-esteem of black women, meaning that you can have black dolls in the hands of black girls and their self-esteem will be even lower than the child who doesn't have the doll in their hand, regardless of the color of the toy, because it was designed. It would be the equivalent of us having a Barbie doll named Assata Shakur, and then 15 years later we have a doll that's named the white Assata Shakur. You would be like, wait, what? But Assata is black. Assata's not white, you see, but so it doesn't make sense. And this is essentially what when we say the black Barbie, it doesn't make sense. Barbie is a German name. What are you saying? What are you saying? This is that subconscious desire for us as black women in America to be white. And so we get so excited when they give us these appearances of inclusion with these dolls, these black dolls, and it's like, we don't need that. All we need is the mothers to be at home with the daughters. That's it. And we need the mothers to be patient enough and caring enough and nurturing enough to be able to pour into their daughters so that they can instill the values that they need to be healthy women, mothers, and wives, and sisters, right? Because we don't even know how to be sisters to each other. Sisterhood in America ain't hitting the way it's supposed to be hitting, right? Yet we had these toys, yet we had all these Barbies. So you would think we would have the tools, but that wasn't what the tool was designed for, right? So we have to understand that mothers need to be in the homes with the daughters, so that so that these cultural delivery systems like toys are not needed. We don't need them as much. If anything, the children should be creating their own toys, right? Using your own imagination. You don't need nobody to create something to hand it to you and tell you to go play with it. You don't need that. Use your own imagination. Go out, create something from the trees, create something from some sticks, play in the dirt. You see, like, be in the presence of your siblings, be in the presence of your cousins and your parents and your aunts and your uncles. That's all we need. But because we have been thrust into this this consumerist society that tells us that we can buy our way. You can't buy your way into parenthood, okay? You can't buy your way into motherhood. You can't buy your way into fatherhood. This is why, for me, when I tell you mothers, young women who are becoming mothers, you don't need much. You don't need all that stuff that they tell you that you need. These are designed to break the bond between the child and the mother. Dr. Africa talks about this a lot. Call it bond damage, meaning the more mediators. My husband and I, we call them mediators. The more mediators, the more consumerist things, the more strollers, the more, bottles and just all these things, the more you see that, the more the bond between the mother and the child is going to be severed. Meaning this is just like, it's not a true bond. Because children don't need all that. All they need is their parents. All they need is their parents to be patient and caring and nurturing. But dolls and toys, it confuses us and thinks that it's about something that it's not. So my next point I have on here is we cannot take white people's cultural hand-me-downs and think that they have the same benefit for us as black people. So I kind of said this already, which is Black Barbie is a cultural hand-me-down because it wasn't designed for black people. It wasn't designed for black girls. It was designed for white girls. So this is essentially a cultural hand-me-down that we're not going to benefit from. This is just to save face. Like, this is just like theater at this point. Like, yeah, give the blacks, give them their little black Barbie if that's what they want. Damn, give it to them. At this point, that's what they want. Give it to them. Keep the hair stringy and dog-like. Give them the dog hair. Who cares? Just give it to them because that's what they want. We feel, and then now black women are like, we feel seen. Black girls like, yes, we feel seen. And I want to communicate something to that. You can't give. Toys are designed, like we said, to communicate an idea. And if you live in a society that's already telling you that black is inferior and white is superior, we can't rely on the toy, right? The toy comes after the child already has instilled in them this confidence and self-esteem within them. The toys don't instill that, okay? I know this for a fact because, like I said, I had Barbies and I still hated myself. I had black Barbies and I still wanted to be white. I still wore wigs. I still wanted and stitched my nose so I looked like a white. So my nose was more white aligning. I still desired to have lighter skin even though I had black Barbies. Sawa? So that means the skin tone of the Barbie ain't enough because we live in a society that's telling us that black is inferior. So yes, I got this black Barbie in my hand. And yes, I got the big lifestyle Barbie. I had a life-size Barbie. Yes, I have that. But why did I grow up and still wear wigs? Why did I grow up and still try to bleach my hair blonde? Why did I grow up and want to straighten my hair all the time? Why did I grow up and, want to have you put so much makeup on that I look 8 shades lighter? Why? Why is that? I had the black Barbie. Wasn't I supposed to have the confidence? Nah. Because Barbie is white. She ain't going to instill the confidence into us as black women that we need. The mother was supposed to do that. The mother was supposed to pour into me. The mother was supposed to pour into us as a collective, the aunts and the uncles. Because even if you don't have children, you're still supposed to pour into the children so that they have this esteem to where when they leave the house, whether they have a Barbie or not, they have confidence. And that's hard to do in a society like America. And this is why for us, we can't raise our children in America. We can't do it. It's going to conflict with everything that we teach them, everything that we teach our sons, everything that we're going to teach our future children. When our children leave the home, it's going to conflict immediately. And it ain't going to stick. What we teach our children when they leave the house, it has to correlate. Meaning what I say to my child when they leave, the society has to replicate that. Right? So if I say black is beautiful and black is strong and black is amazing to my child and I live in America and then that child leaves the home and somebody calls them a ugly black whatever, then what I said is irrelevant. You can't compete with the society. This is what my husband and I talk about. You can't compete. This is why you have to live in a society that has the cultural values that you have as a parent, because the society is really the main parent. You just kind of like babysitting, right? Like you kind of just keeping them, fed and alive, but the society that you live in is the real parent, and they're going to dictate the esteem of our children as black children, and this is why so many of our children have low self-esteem. So we can't take their cultural hand-me-downs because it's not. First what we have to do is instill the confidence, which is going to take decades on decades, okay? Decades on decades. Then maybe we can talk about introducing toys that look like them. But we can't skip over the parental responsibility of instilling these values, this esteem into our children, and just skip over that and hop to toys. The toys ain't gonna cut it. The toys ain't gonna cut it. So another point that I have is, I already told y'all Barbie was inspired by a white German doll. And she was also designed to never be married. I already said that. And to never have children. Also, another element of Barbie is that she's blonde. And you know, blondes, they are, which is the truth, are stupid. They say that, blonde, the dumb blonde, right? So there were, in the 90s, they had a doll that was like a talking Barbie doll. And one of the things that she would say is, math is hard and I love shopping. So this is the narrative behind the Barbie. So although Barbie got all the clothes, she got the Jeep, she got the mansion, and she got all the career, she's stupid. She's stupid. So we as black women, our daughters aren't stupid. Like I said, regardless of if you are aware of this, this is the intent behind the people who created the doll. So no, you're not. We're not saying that black girls are stupid. We're saying we shouldn't be giving them toys that have this undertone of ignorance embedded in them. Because math ain't hard to somebody who knows how to study and to, who takes their time and who is patient with themselves. But if all you care about is shopping and clothes and mansions and Jeeps and going around looking cute and being in Malibu, then math is hard for you. Just like motherhood is hard for you, white woman. Just like wifehood is hard for you, white woman. It wasn't designed for you. But we've been doing this for eons. We've been wives and mothers and sisters for eons. This ain't difficult for us. This comes natural to us. But when it don't come natural to you, you need these additives. You need these toys. So, the solution that I have, some of the solutions I have is we have to build the esteem of our daughters, and value them, teach them how to be contributors. I kind of said this earlier, but I'm going to just say it again because it doesn't hurt to say it again. Through modeling what it means to be a mother and a wife before we give them these dolls. Kind of already said that, but like I said, it don't hurt to say it again. We as wives and mothers, as women, in the presence of young black girls, our duty should be to model to them the essence and the prestige that comes with being a wife and a mother. That used to be a thing, right? Because like I said, when I had my dolls, I used to pretend that she was married, right? But why do I need to do that if I was in the presence of actual people who were married, who I could model after them? And I would have learned so much more. I would have gained so much more knowledge going into wifehood and motherhood, instead of being thrust into it and being like, dang, I'm here now, but I don't really know what to do. I don't really know what to do. Like, what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to breastfeed? Oh, okay. I'm supposed to give natural birth? How you do that? Like, I ain't know nothing. Granted, I was young at the time, but still, like I said, when I compare young women, young girls here, and what they're able to do and how they're able to patiently take care of children, when I compare them to the grown adult women in America, and I contrast and see the young 17, 16-year-old woman on the continent is better equipped to be a mother at an early age than the black woman in America. That's sad. That is extremely disturbing and sad. Because, like I said, we designed for this. But this art has been ripped from us, right? The art of being a mother and a wife has been dumbed down to being oppressive, and it's not fun. It's so burdensome. I need a break, and it's just a lot of work. And listen, that didn't used to be the case, right? I've never heard the amount of complaints that I've heard about motherhood from any other demographic other than white women, of course, because they always gonna complain, because like I said, they ain't designed to do it. But we as black women, we are designed to do it. But we've just been in the presence of white people for too long, then now we think that we're incapable of doing something that comes to us naturally. It comes naturally for us to breastfeed. That's not difficult. When your mind is in the right place and when you haven't been taking advice from white women, it comes very natural to us. It's not difficult. Natural birth. It's not difficult. It's not difficult. So this is really important for us to understand. So Barbie is a representation of white culture. So when we're looking at these grown black women in their 30s, 20s, some even 40s and 50s, eager to run to the movie theaters to go look at a white woman playing a doll, that should give you the context of what's going on psychologically in the black woman's mind, right? It's a reason that this type of energy is happening right now. I also want to talk about the color pink. The color pink is a masculine color. The color blue is a feminine color. You can look this up yourself and look and see there was a time period, even in Africa, where blue was feminine, pink is masculine. So another issue with Barbie is, what is it? It floods you with what color? The only color you really see the only color that you really think of when you think of Barbie is pink. We have to understand that colors have energy. Everything we have has energy. But colors specifically have energy attached to them, whether we're conscious of it or not. Right? This is why, anyway, I'm not even going to say that. But there are energies behind colors. So when they give us not just some pink, but everything is pink. The Jeep is pink. The house is pink. The clothes are pink. The lips is pink. The shoes, everything just pink, 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 pink. What is that instilling into us? This is instilling a masculine energy into the woman. Because remember what I said earlier, Barbie was about feminism. White women wanted to compete with white men. They wanted to compete. And because they wanted to compete, they needed a color to represent that competition, right? And pink, like I just said, is a masculine color. So they needed to match that energy of the white man. That's all this is. The pink is them matching the energy. They like, oh, you masculine? Guess what? I can be masculine too, and I'm going to disguise it as femininity. So now we have this idea that pink means feminine. So now we got black women walking around with pinkity pink, 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 everything pink. They favorite color pink. Pink, pink. I know for me when I was younger, I loved pink. I was pink down. Sour, pink down. Meanwhile, now that as I'm getting older, I'm like, I can't get into relationships. I wonder why. I got this masculine energy, and the man, he can't match that. He like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. You see, so now we're instilling this hostility and this undertone of like sassiness, and all of this is coming when we put these colors on. Meanwhile, when we wear blue, when we wear these feminine colors like blue, we are pulling the energy of femininity, meaning we're softer, we're kinder, we're more patient, we're more understanding, right? Like I said, this is all researchable information if you need that, but colors have energy. So essentially, when we're looking at these pink dolls, these pink Barbies, with all this pinkity pink, 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 this is instilling into our generation, and my generation of women are very masculine. Surprise, surprise. I wonder how that happened. It happened because we just literally jumped into the pool of pink, and there was no other color that mattered. It was just pink, right? So these are all things that we have to be conscious of. I said it in the beginning, is that we have to be intentional as women, as the curators of our homes and the curators of our spaces. We cannot just allow anything into our children's spaces, into our spaces as well. We have to be intentional. That's the art of curating, is being very meticulous and very intentional about how things look, about what things communicate, about the symbols in our home. We have to be intentional about that. And when we aren't intentional, we fall victim to our children being, depressed, being suicidal, being not having confidence, getting into dysfunctional relationships, not being able to maintain relationships. These are all products of women, mothers, who have not been intentional with the curating abilities within our home. We can't afford to stage our homes. We have to curate our homes. And our men benefit when we curate. Our children benefit when we curate. Our sisters benefit when they come over and we can and they enter our spaces. Our brothers benefit from curated spaces. The community benefits when our spaces are curated, because we're a lot more compassionate, we're a lot more patient, we're a lot more understanding with each other. But if our spaces are staged, meaning everything in my house was bought from somebody, it has no meaning, it just looked cute, it just looked nice. When I walk into this space, I see it and I'm like, oh, this is nice, but I don't feel empowered when I walk into this space. I don't feel like I could, there's something that I need to do. There's something that I need to contribute to. I don't feel that when I walk into your space. I just feel like, I'm gonna just chill. And that's not, we can't afford that as women. So another point of the solution is, once the confidence is built and solidified in our children and our daughters, then we can introduce the dolls to them. I think I already said that. And then when we introduce toys to a group of children who are deeply underrepresented and that already have a low self-esteem, we're just doing more damage. So we have to hold off on the toys. I know that it's easy to do. They're inexpensive, and it's just like, yeah, give them a toy, let them do whatever they need to do. But it's really, if we're being honest, it's an element of laziness. Right? It's an element of laziness, because when your children don't have toys, they're looking to you. They're looking to you to play with them. They're looking to you to, teach them something, or, figure out something to do. They're looking to you as the parent. And that's a lot of responsibility to somebody who doesn't know how to do what they're supposed to do in the first place. Nobody taught us how to be parents. Our parents wasn't teaching us. They wasn't really modeling to us how to do this. So now when it's our turn to do it, we like, okay, just give them the Nintendo. Give them the PlayStation. Give them something. Go somewhere and go play with something. That's all I got for you, right? And that's not going to cut it, like I said, because these children are depressed, y'all. Black girls are committing suicide more than they ever have. They're committing more suicide than black boys, and white girls. Black girls are committing suicide more than all three of them. So this goes to show that our mothers, the ball has been dropped. The ball has been dropped. And the only way to pick the ball up is to remove these cultural delivery systems that did not come from our culture. We can't copy and paste what white people do in their homes to us. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's going to create more chaos. So for me, those are all my notes. For me, the undertone, the main takeaway from this is, Barbie is not for black women. Black women should not be investing and sending their daughters to go see these movies. They shouldn't be excited to see these movies. I've seen whole black women get dressed up and go out to go see a movie for children. This is what I mean if you saw my video where I talked about girlhood to womanhood, and I was saying, are you a woman or are you a girl? These are the symptoms of being a girl. Is you're very connected to things that remind you of your girlhood. You're very connected to things that remind you of a time in your life where you had no responsibility, right? Where you had nothing to do other than play all day. We can't afford as black women to be stuck in that space. And I know there's this narrative going around right now where you got to heal the inner child and heal, the girlhood and healing that. And it's like, the way we heal our inner child is by making sure our children don't have anything to heal from. That's our child right there. That's us. My sons are me. That's me. I heal myself by healing them, making sure they don't have nothing to heal from. But if I'm so focused on my inner child from when I was 7, what they gonna do? They gonna have to heal, right? They're going to have to heal because I'm too worried about healing somebody that's gone. The 7-year-old me is gone. She's still, I'm building on that foundation, should I say. I'm building on the foundation, meaning once you pass freshman, you don't want to go back to be a freshman if you a senior. Nobody sits and be like, I just wish I need to go heal my senior year because, my freshman year. Nah, you like, that's in the past. I'm building on that, but I don't want to go back to that. And that's what I'm saying is we can't afford to spend all this time trying to heal our inner child if we have children. It's too late for that. The healing should have happened before the child. Now the healing is make sure I pour all of my energy, all of my essence, all of my abilities into them, and so that they don't have nothing to heal from. Otherwise, this is going to be everybody going to have to heal. Everybody's going to have to heal. So we as black women, we cannot be connected to this Barbie culture. We can't do that and be good wives and be good mothers. We can't do both. It has to be one or the other. It has to be a seriousness. This is another thing. Barbie doesn't make you serious. If you're a grown woman and you're talking about going to go see a Barbie movie, all ideas of seriousness have been thrown out of the window at that point. You see? We can't afford that. Our children are being trafficked. Our men are being killed. Black women are being killed. Mass shootings are happening all the time, every day. You can't even trust your neighbor. You can't trust, somebody that you may see on the side of the road that may need help, and you may stop and help them. You can't trust them. You see, like, it's not a society where you should be going and seeing movies right now. But because we have been so connected to this consumerist idea, and because we're still in our girlhood as black women, we're not living in reality. We're not really looking around and saying, wow, this is a lot. We're not doing that. We're just like, who going to see the movie? Y'all going to see the movie on Friday? Is y'all going to see the movie? Meanwhile, the children need us. Our men need us. We need us. We as black women, we need each other. We can't afford to have each other going to movies in this state that we're in. So I really hope this helped you to understand the importance of just disconnecting from cultural delivery systems that do not serve us. And if you're a mother and you're listening to this, I want to encourage you to step into this role of motherhood fully and just, say, you don't need these toys. If you have a daughter, I'm going to be that. I'm going to be that model for you. Or I'm going to put you around other young girls where you can be in their presence and they can, there needs to be some communal elements. And toys are very isolating. I was the only child. So toys, for me, were very convenient. I was the only child. I didn't have any siblings, right, to help to make my life a little bit more exciting. So I was deep into toys, right? And I had all the toys. I was toyed out, but depressed. Toyed out, but couldn't get into relationships. Toyed out and wanted to look like a white woman. You see? So we got to get out of this need to just constantly give our children things that don't really serve them. So I hope you found some value in this video. Like I said, I have a presentation that I made called Mastering the Art of Curation. I kind of mentioned curation throughout the video, but if you're not really, if you want to know more about it, you can purchase the classes on our website in the link in my bio. And I feel that, this is my way of contributing to the state of us as black women. I really want us to get back to a place where we can really be serious and we can really hold each other accountable, and make sure that our daughters have women to look up to. Because I didn't have women to look up to. Everything that I've come into now as a woman, as a wife and a mother, I had to learn on my own. I had to learn from viewing African women here. I had to learn from reading African texts and going back. I didn't have that model. So I want to make sure that other women can be that model and understand that they have the power to be that model. And yeah, I really appreciate y'all for being here, for taking the time Like I said, it's really difficult for me to read and talk at the same time. So I know y'all were commenting in the chat, but I'm gonna post the full video on my feed, and we can definitely have the conversation more in the comments once I post the video, because I do think that it's really important for us to continue this type of conversation as women and as wives and mothers, and as, you know, even like I said, if you don't have children, because it's all about preparing for when you do have children, right? We need to prepare ourselves for motherhood and wifehood, and I don't really see that happening on a large scale in the Black community. So I thank y'all again for being here, for taking the time for your comments, and feel free to message me or anything like that if anything I said you want more information. I would love to send you some of the articles and research things that I have in videos if you would like. So again, thank you for joining me, and I will see you soon. Kwaheri.